What if the people who destroyed your life walked back into it? What if the brothers who threw you in a pit, sold you like an animal, and told your father you were dead, came and knelt at your feet and didn't even recognize you? What would you do? Would you punish them? Would you forgive them? Would you weep? Joseph did all three. Last time we left a boy in a prison cell, 17 when his brothers threw him in a pit, sold into slavery, faithful in a house that framed him, locked away for a crime he never committed, and forgotten for 2 full years by the one man who promised to remember him. It looked like the end of Joseph's story. It was actually the beginning. Because one night, in the grandest bedroom in all of Egypt, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, the great river, the lifeblood of the empire. And out of the water came 7 cows, fat, sleek, healthy. They grazed along the riverbank. Then 7 more cows came up behind them. But these cows were thin, ugly, gaunt, ribs showing through their skin, barely alive. And the 7 thin cows ate the 7 fat cows, swallowed them whole. And after they had eaten them, they looked just as thin as before. Pharaoh woke up. His heart was pounding. He fell back asleep and dreamed again. This time, 7 heads of grain, growing on a single stalk, full, golden, heavy with harvest. Then 7 more heads sprouted, thin, scorched, shriveled by the east wind. And the thin heads swallowed the full heads. Pharaoh woke up again, and this time he did not go back to sleep. In the morning, Pharaoh was troubled, deeply troubled. He summoned every magician in Egypt, every wise man, every scholar and priest and interpreter the empire could offer. They couldn't explain it.
I have had a dream. Tell me what it means.
The most educated minds in the most powerful civilization on earth stood before their king and had nothing to say. And that is when, finally, the cupbearer remembered. 2 years too late, a promise resurfaced. A young Hebrew in prison who hears from God. Pharaoh didn't hesitate, so they rushed Joseph out of the dungeon. Think about this for a moment. Yesterday, he was a forgotten prisoner at the bottom of the world. Today, he is standing in a palace, freshly shaved, dressed in clean linen, looking into the eyes of the most powerful man on earth. 2 full years of silence, and then, in a single morning, everything changed.
I had a dream and no one can interpret it, but I have heard it said of you and explain it.
And here is where Joseph could have seized his moment. He could have taken the credit. He could have said, "Yes, I can do this. I am the one you need." He didn't.
I cannot do this, Pharaoh, but God can.
The same God who gave him dreams in his father's tent, the same God who was with him in Potiphar's house, the same God who was with him in prison. Joseph was still pointing upward, so Pharaoh told him everything. The cows, the grain, the devouring, the emptiness that remained.
The cows, they wither in the grain. I see the devouring.
And God gave Joseph the meaning.
2 dreams, 1 meaning.
7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. Every magician in the room stood silent. Every wise man stared. This was not a guess. This was not politics. This was the voice of God coming through a prisoner. But Joseph didn't stop at the interpretation. He kept going. No one asked him for advice.
For their grain now, or the empire starves.
He gave it anyway. A slave, a prisoner, a foreigner with no rank, no title, no family in this country, telling the king of Egypt how to run his empire. And Pharaoh listened. Pharaoh took his signet ring off his own finger and put it on Joseph's hand. They dressed him in robes of fine linen. They placed a gold chain around his neck. They gave him a chariot, the second chariot in the kingdom. And as it rolled through the streets of Egypt, men ran ahead of it, shouting to the crowds, "Bow the knee, bow the knee." Do you remember the dream? The one a 17-year-old boy told his brothers in a tent in Canaan? The sheaves of grain bowing down, the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowing down. His brothers laughed. They mocked him. They threw him in a pit for it. And now all of Egypt was bowing. Joseph was 30 years old, 13 years, from the pit to the palace. From a slave to the second most powerful man in the world. But God wasn't putting on a show. There was work to do. The 7 good years came, exactly as Joseph had said. The harvests were so abundant that Joseph stopped counting. He stored grain in every city, mountains of it, enough to fill the sea. And then the good years ended. The famine came. And it came everywhere, not just Egypt. Every surrounding nation, every kingdom, every tribe and territory, Canaan included. The fields dried up, the rivers shrank, the livestock starved, people began to die. And across the known world, one sentence spread like wildfire: there is grain in Egypt. And in the hills of Canaan, in a tent that had been draped in grief for over a decade, an old man named Jacob heard that sentence too. So 10 of Jacob's sons, 10 brothers, packed their donkeys and set out on the long road south. 10 brothers, not 11. Jacob kept Benjamin, his youngest, his last son by Rachel, the only brother Joseph shared a mother with, at home. Something might happen. The old man had lost Joseph. He would not risk losing Rachel's other son. So the 10 brothers came to Egypt, and they were directed, as all foreigners were, to the man in charge of grain distribution. The governor, the second most powerful man in the kingdom. They walked into his hall. They bowed down before him, faces to the ground, and they had no idea, not the slightest suspicion, that the man sitting above them on that elevated chair, dressed in Egyptian linen with a gold chain and Pharaoh's signet ring, clean-shaven, speaking Egyptian through an interpreter, was their brother, the boy they had stripped naked and thrown into a pit, the boy they had sold for 20 pieces of silver, the boy they had erased. Joseph recognized them instantly. Every face, every voice. The years had changed them. They were older, grayer, thinner from the famine, and they did not know him. Joseph's heart must have been a war. 13 years he had dreamed about this moment, or dreaded it, for 13 years, and now here they were, on their knees, in his court, exactly as the dream had shown. But Joseph did not reveal himself, not yet. He spoke harshly to them, through an interpreter, so they would not hear his Hebrew.
He asks where you were born, from the land of Canaan, to buy food. Spies! They say you are spies. No, my lord. Your servants have come only to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. We are honest men. Your servants are not spies.
Honest men. Joseph heard those words and did not flinch.
Your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more.
One is no more. That was their way of saying it. One is no more. As if Joseph had simply ceased to exist. As if he had vanished on his own. Not sold, not thrown away. Just no more. Joseph heard those words standing 10 feet from the men who made them true. And Joseph put all 10 of them in custody.
Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth.
For 3 days. 3 days in an Egyptian cell, the same kind of cell their brother had lived in for years. On the 3rd day, Joseph brought them out.
If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me so that your words may be verified and you may not die.
And here, in this moment, something cracked open. The brothers turned to each other, and they did not know Joseph could understand every word.
Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen.
This is the first time in the entire story that anyone describes what Joseph looked like in that pit. The first time we hear that he begged. Now, 20 years later, in a room in Egypt, the brothers finally admitted.
Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood.
Joseph turned away from them, and he wept. He wept. The second most powerful man in Egypt turned his face to the wall, so his brothers would not see him cry. When he had composed himself, he chose Simeon, the second oldest, and had him bound before their eyes. Then he ordered his servants to fill their bags with grain, to return each man's silver secretly into his sack, and to give them provisions for the journey. The 9 brothers loaded their donkeys and left, and on the road home, one of them opened his sack to feed his donkey, and found his silver sitting on top of the grain. Their hearts sank. They turned to each other, trembling. One brother cried out, "My silver has been returned. Here it is in my sack." They turned to each other, trembling, and asked the only question left, "What is this that God has done to us?" They arrived home. They told Jacob everything. The harsh governor, the accusation of spying, Simeon in prison, and the demand, "Bring the youngest or never return." And then they emptied their sacks. And every single one of them, every brother, found his pouch of silver returned inside his grain. Terror. And Jacob, old, broken, still grieving, looked at his sons and spoke from the deepest well, of his sorrow. Jacob erupted. "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more. Simeon is no more. And now you want to take Benjamin? Everything is against me." Reuben stepped forward with a desperate pledge. "You may put both my sons to death," he said, "if I do not bring him back. Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back." But Jacob refused. "My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow." The conversation ended. The old man said no. But the famine did not end. The grain ran out. The hunger returned. And Jacob, with no options left, had to say the words he dreaded.
Go back. Buy us a little more food.
Judah answered plainly. The man warned us solemnly. "You will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother along with us, we will go down and buy food. But if you will not send him, we will not go." Jacob lashed out. "Why did you bring this trouble on me by telling the man you had another brother?" The brothers defended themselves. The man questioned us closely about our family, our father, whether we had another brother. We simply answered his questions. How were we to know he would say, "Bring your brother down here"? And then Judah stepped forward and spoke the pledge that changed everything. "Send the boy along with me. I myself will guarantee his safety. You can hold me personally responsible. If I do not bring him back to you and set him here before you, I will bear the blame before you all my life." Judah, the same brother who said, "Let's sell him" 20 years ago, now standing before his father and pledging his own life for the youngest son. People change, or maybe guilt has been doing its work for 2 decades. Jacob finally relented. Jacob shifted from grief to strategy. If it must be, then do this. Take some of the best products of the land as a gift for the man. Balm, honey, spices, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the amount of silver, he instructed, and carry back the silver that was returned to your sacks. Perhaps it was a mistake. And then, the sentence that cost him everything. Take your brother also, and go back to the man at once. And then, the prayer of a man who has learned that all his planning cannot protect the people he loves. Jacob prayed, "May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man," he said, "so that he will let your other brother and Benjamin come back with you. As for me, if I am bereaved, I am bereaved." The sound of a man letting go. With Benjamin, the brothers returned to Egypt. When Joseph saw Benjamin, his only full brother, the last son of his mother Rachel, the boy he had not seen since he was a child, he could barely hold himself together. When Joseph saw Benjamin among them, he turned to his steward and gave quiet orders. "Take these men to my house, slaughter an animal and prepare a meal. They are to eat with me at noon." The brothers were terrified. They thought they were being taken to Joseph's house to be seized. For the silver, for some trap, or for something they couldn't name, they approached Joseph's steward at the door of the estate. The brothers rushed to explain themselves. "We came down once before to buy food," they said. "But when we opened our sacks, each man's silver was in the mouth of his sack, full weight. We have brought it back, along with additional silver. We don't know who put it there." The steward stopped them with words that made no sense. "It's all right," he said. "Don't be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, has given you treasure in your sacks. I received your silver." Then the steward brought Simeon out to them. When Joseph came home, the brothers presented their gifts, bowing to the ground before him. When Joseph arrived, he asked a question he already knew the answer to. "How is your aged father you told me about? Is he still living?" The brothers bowed and answered, "Your servant our father is still alive and well." And they bowed down again. Joseph looked up and saw Benjamin, his mother's son, the last piece of home. Joseph looked at Benjamin and spoke words that cracked his mask from the inside. "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about? God be gracious to you, my son." And Joseph hurried out because he was overcome with emotion. He went into his private room and wept there. He wept again, the second time. He washed his face, came back out, steadied himself. When he had composed himself, Joseph returned and gave the simplest order: serve the food. They sat to eat, Joseph at his own table, the brothers at theirs. And Joseph had them seated in order, from the firstborn to the youngest, in exact birth order. The brothers looked at each other in astonishment. How could this Egyptian know? And when the portions were served, Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as anyone else's. The youngest, the favorite, the echo of a coat of many colors. Music only. After the feast, Joseph gave his final instruction. Before dawn, Joseph whispered his final instructions to the steward. "Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, my silver cup, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack," he said, "along with the silver for his grain." The steward did exactly as Joseph said. At dawn, the brothers were sent on their way, their donkeys loaded, their hearts light. Simeon back, Benjamin safe. The nightmare was over. They had barely left the city. Joseph watched from a window as the brothers disappeared up the road. Then he gave the command, "Go after those men at once. When you catch up with them, say, 'Why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the cup my master drinks from? This is a wicked thing you have done.'" The steward caught them on the road and delivered the accusation. The brothers were outraged. "Why does my lord say such things? Far be it from us to do anything like that. We even brought back the silver we found. Why would we steal?" And then they made a bet they could not win. "If any of us is found to have it, he will die, and the rest of us will become your lord's slaves." The steward accepted, with a modification. "Very well, whoever is found with a cup will become my slave. The rest of you will be free." Each man lowered his sack. The search began with the oldest. Sack after sack, nothing, nothing, nothing. And then they reached Benjamin's sack. The cup. The brothers tore their clothes, every single one of them, not just Reuben this time, all of them. They loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. They came before Joseph, and they fell to the ground. Joseph looked down at them and spoke. "What is this you have done? Don't you know that a man like me can find things out by divination?" Judah answered from the floor, and his answer went deeper than a cup. "What can we say to my Lord? What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt." Listen to that. God has uncovered your servant's guilt. Judah is no longer talking about a cup. He's talking about something 20 years older, something buried so deep that only God could drag it into the light. Judah offered total surrender. "We are now my Lord's slaves, we ourselves, and the one who was found to have the cup." But Joseph refused the offer. "Far be it from me to do that," he said. "Only the man who is found with the cup will become my slave. The rest of you, go back to your father in peace. Leave the boy. Walk away." This was the test. 20 years ago, the brothers had a chance to protect their father's favorite son. They sold him instead. They tore a coat off a boy and walked away and ate lunch. Now here it was again. The same test, the same shape. A father's beloved youngest, Rachel's son, about to be taken from them. Would they walk away again? Judah stepped forward. This is one of the longest speeches in the entire book of Genesis, and it is one of the most beautiful. And then Judah began the speech of his life. "Pardon your servant, my lord," he said. "Let me speak a word to my lord. Do not be angry with your servant, though you are equal to Pharaoh himself. My lord asked his servants whether we had a father or a brother." Judah continued, "And we answered, 'We have an aged father, and there is a young son born to him in his old age. His brother is dead. He is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him.'" Judah says it without bitterness, without jealousy. 20 years ago, that love, that favoritism, was the spark that set the whole fire. Now Judah speaks it as fact, as something worth protecting. "Then you said to your servants," Judah reminded him, "Bring him down to me, so I can see him for myself. And we said, 'The boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will die.' When we went back to our father," Judah said, "we told him what my lord had said. And our father told us, 'You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One of them went away from me, and I said, he has surely been torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. He has surely been torn to pieces.'" Judah is standing before the very brother his father thinks is dead, repeating his father's grief word for word, and he still does not know. Judah spoke his father's words. "If you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in misery." So now, Judah pressed, "If the boy is not with us when I go back to my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, sees that the boy isn't there, he will die. Your servants," Judah said, "will bring the gray head of our father down to the grave in sorrow." Your servant guaranteed the boy's safety to his father, Judah declared. "I said, if I do not bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you, my father, all my life." And then the line that changed everything. "Now then," Judah said, "please let your servant remain here as my lord's slave, in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. Let me stay. Take me instead. Keep me as your slave, but let the boy go home to his father." "How can I go back to my father?" Judah cried. "If the boy is not with me, no, do not let me see the misery that would come on my father." Joseph could not control himself any longer. Joseph could not hold it any longer. He cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence, every servant, every official, every Egyptian in the room, out." And when no one was left, when it was only Joseph and his brothers alone in that hall, Joseph wept. He wept so loudly that the Egyptians outside there heard him. Pharaoh's household heard him. The 3rd time he wept, but this time he did not hide it. And through the tears, through the years, through everything, the pit, the chains, the auction block, the false accusation, the prison, the 2 years of silence. Joseph spoke 2 words in Hebrew, and through the tears, through the years, through everything, Joseph spoke 2 words in Hebrew. I am Joseph, 3 syllables, the most powerful reveal in the Old Testament. The brothers could not answer him. They were terrified. He said it again, louder, with the urgency of a son. I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? Still alive? After everything, after 13 years of slavery, after 2 more years of prison, after rising to the throne of Egypt, the first question out of his mouth was about his father. The brothers stood frozen, speechless. The man they had sold was standing before them, wearing Pharaoh's ring. He extended both hands toward them and spoke 4 quiet words. Come close to me. They came closer, shaking. When they came closer, he said, I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. The one you sold. He said it. He named it. No pretending, no softening. And then the line that makes this story immortal. And then the sentence that makes this story immortal. Do not be distressed, he told them. And do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. God sent me ahead of you. Not, I forgive you because I'm generous. Not, forget about it. Not, it doesn't matter. It mattered. It mattered terribly. Every day in that pit, every night in that prison, every year of silence. But God was in it. God was working. God took the worst thing they ever did and turned it into the thing that would save their lives. Joseph gave them the practical truth. For 2 years now there has been famine, he said, and for the next 5 years there will be no plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you, he said, to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. He looked at them and spoke the definitive sentence. It was not you who sent me here, but God, not you, God. The boy they threw in a pit, the slave they sold for silver, the brother they erased from the family story. He was standing before them now, alive, powerful, weeping, forgiving, and telling them it was all part of the plan. Joseph threw his arms around Benjamin and wept. Benjamin wept on his shoulder. Then Joseph kissed all his brothers and wept over them. And after that, only after that, his brothers talked with him. The silence was finally broken. 20 years of lies, 20 years of guilt carried in secret, 20 years of a father mourning a son who was alive. It was over. Joseph gave his brothers their instructions. Go back to my father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen, he told them, and be near me, you, your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all you have. I will provide for you there, Joseph promised, because 5 years of famine are still to come. Otherwise, you and your household will become destitute. You can see for yourselves, he said, and so can my brother Benjamin, that it is really I who am speaking to you. Tell my father about all the honor accorded me in Egypt, Joseph urged, and about everything you have seen, and bring my father down here, quickly. The brothers left Egypt loaded with gifts, carts, donkeys, provisions, changes of clothing. Benjamin received 5 changes, 300 shekels of silver, and they went home to Canaan, to their father, to the old man in sackcloth who had said, I will go down to the grave, mourning my son. They reached their father's tent and the words erupted, Joseph is alive. He is the ruler of all Egypt. Jacob was stunned. He did not believe them. So they told him everything Joseph had said. And when he saw the carts Joseph had sent to carry him, the physical proof that this was not another lie, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived. And Jacob, the old man in sackcloth, the man who had refused to be comforted for 20 years, stood at his full height and declared, I'm convinced. My son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. My son Joseph is still alive. The old man who had refused to be comforted, who had said he would carry his grief to the grave, who had clutched a blood-soaked coat for 20 years. He was going to see his boy. And here is the truth this story has been building toward. From the very first dream in a tent in Canaan to the very last tear in a palace in Egypt, you meant evil against me. But God meant it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. The pit was not the end. The prison was not the end. The silence was not the end. They were the road, and the road led here. If you are watching this and you feel forgotten, if you feel like you are sitting in your own pit, in your own prison, in your own 2 years of silence, remember Joseph. God is not finished. He was not finished then. He is not finished now.